For the first time, an Ogden woman who had a close relationship with serial killer Ted Bundy is telling her story.
Marylynne Chino was the best friends with Bundy's longtime girlfriend. She knew him for years, and her call to the police may have helped investigators build their case against the serial killer.
Our Chris Jones with more on the story for us tonight. Chris, kind of an interesting story.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Marylynne Chino knew Ted Bundy when she lived in Seattle and when women started to disappear from Washington State. She also knew him after he moved to Salt Lake City to go to the University of Utah's law school, and women there started to disappear as well.
Have you ever physically harmed anyone?
Ever physically harmed anyone? No.
So let's talk about when you first met Ted.
Okay.
Marylynne Chino remembers that night at the Sandpiper Bar in Seattle as if it was yesterday.
I've never forgotten this. And I walked in, and across the room, I saw Ted for the first time.
Blue shirts.
I will never forget the look on his face. I can't describe it. It wasn't evil, but it was like he was staring.
Chino and her best friend Liz Klepfer had moved from Ogden, Utah to Seattle. That cool evening in 1969, Klepfer would begin a years-long relationship with Bundy.
Oh, that's when he escaped from Glenwood Springs.
And Chino would be pulled along for the dark, winding ride.
I'm innocent.
You'll be put to death by a current of electricity.
Theodore Bundy was executed at 7:16 a.m. in the electric chair at Florida State Prison.
Ted was charismatic.
I'm not guilty.
He was nice.
Does that include the time I stole a comic book when I was 5 years old?
In the early 70s, Marylynne, Klepfer, and Bundy were together all the time, close friends, jutting around in Bundy's Volkswagen. Your friend Liz took this picture?
Mm-hmm. He was in his infamous tan Volkswagen.
Then it begins. Klepfer tells Marylynne about some odd items she finds at Bundy's home.
There was women's underwear there, and the plaster Paris and stuff like that. And she says, "What is this?" And he said to her, "I'm not, if you ever tell anybody this, I'll break your effing head." And that sort of stuff. And then she just let it go.
Klepfer may have let it go.
Washington officials have a string of unsolved murders on their hands.
But by 1974, women are beginning to disappear from around Washington State, including 2 who were kidnapped and murdered from Lake Sammamish. Police have a suspect. He calls himself Ted. He was wearing a cast made of plaster of Paris and driving a Volkswagen Beetle. And this composite drawing was published in the Washington Times.
She came over and she says, "I have something to show you," and she throws it on the table. "What do you think of that?" I said, "Well, it's Ted. Why?" And that's when it came out.
Came out that Ted might be a killer. The 2 women are terrified. Klepfer doesn't want to call police, but Chino convinces her.
So we went to a payphone, and I called and said, "Now, you sure it was a bronze?" "Yes, we're absolutely sure."
Ted's Beetle was tan. The women breathe a sigh of relief, but Chino still has her doubts as she finds herself in Bundy's Volkswagen Beetle one night.
I said, "What's wrong with you?" And she said, "Ted's here."
You ever feel like you'd like to escape?
I didn't want him to take me home, but, I live far enough away, and she was there, and she said, "I'll take you home." "Don't, Ted, jump." "Oh, no, I'll take her, don't worry." And
How long of a car ride was it?
maybe half an hour.
He was a suspect in the murders in Washington State.
Yes.
And you knew that?
Yes.
And you were in his car?
Yes. I held really tight to that thing. It's the Volkswagen, and I got out, and I just took a deep breath.
Chino doesn't let on to her suspicions and walks away unhurt. But in August of 1974, Bundy moves to Utah to attend law school at the U.
He goes to Salt Lake. And guess what? People start disappearing from Salt Lake.
She knows she has to convince Klepfer to call police.
I felt in my heart he was not going to stop, and somebody had to stop him.
Oh, come on, guys.
It would take years, but police eventually build a case against Bundy, thanks in part to Klepfer and Chino.
Can't begin to understand the pain.
Bundy confessed to killing 30 women, but is suspected of as many as 100 homicides.
We're flabbergasted ourselves.
Tonight, Chino looks through these old clippings, replays those days, and wonders, why didn't he hurt you?
My honest answer, that's one of the questions I think I had more to do in this life. That's the only thing I can tell you.
Now, Chino says that she never told her story until now because her sister had asked her not to say anything about it in an effort to make sure that she didn't glorify the life of Ted Bundy. But after Chino's sister passed away, she felt like she had to get this story out, and she wanted other people to learn from her experience as well. Guys, back to you.
Still chilling, even to this day, to look back and see Ted Bundy again. All right, Chris, thanks.
Absolutely. You bet.